So, as we did before, I want to start with the questions from the Slido panel. And the last one that has been sent within is actually, and probably it's a question to all of you. If we look from the perspective of the goal that has been already reached, what it looks like, the engaged and involved society, how often the average citizen all across the Europe, or specifically in Latvia, is involved in every activity that takes an interest for the community. How to do this? The question is regular polls, referendums, like I know it's done in Switzerland, for example, or just any other activities when regular elections are in place, for example. So what it looks like when the citizens and community are completely engaged. So who would like to start the panel? No one. Oh, Ingona, you're welcome.
Does it work? Yeah. I think it's $1 million question, but so probably it's not easy to...
Bill.
Yeah. So it's not easy to answer, but maybe I will just share. During the conference, we were doing, with the assistance of survey company, kind of Europe-wide Slido questioning of people, and we had a lot of responses. And then we asked people when they would be willing to get involved. And surprisingly, most of the people said that they are mostly interested in their local municipal level. And this is where they are really interested, willing, and committed to get involved. And I think it was also said by one of the speakers that probably municipal level is the one. National level, that could be a bit more difficult. I will start with this and give other speakers to continue.
Who is about to continue? Yes, Ines, you're welcome. Because one thing is just to answer in a pool. Would you like to be involved or engaged? The other thing is just to go to the CESIS municipality, for example, on a regular basis, just to participate in, I don't know, discussion for any small infrastructure project, how it could be done. So Ines, you're welcome.
Well, I would like to add something from the government perspective. I think it's important that we provide the opportunities to be engaged, and then the citizen will decide, or citizen groups such as NGOs or business associations to participate. And in that respect, I think I dare to think we are in quite a good situation, because for 10 years we have a regulation that provides that at any stage of development of a legal act or a policy, using different forms of participation, any citizen can participate. So there is this good legal basis for doing this. Afterwards, of course, it depends from whether the citizen who is interested in a particular question, because we are not interested to participate in everything every day. Actually, we just want to participate what is important for me, my family, or for my business, or for any other sector that I'm interested in. So how can I learn about it? And there is the problem. We have carried out surveys showing that citizens believe that information is not easily acceptable in one place. How they can participate. And I think this should improve, and we are working on this very actively at the State Chancery. We have a very big project that will, I think, in a year's time be ready. So there will be one portal of legal acts at the cabinet level. So it's not all possible documents in the country, but at least at the cabinet level, we'll have one modern portal where all the legal acts development process will be reflected and citizens will be able to participate. So these kind of initiatives are important to use the digital age and to provide easily accessible information for citizens.
Yes, but we are still waiting that the citizens will come to some place instead of thinking how the place X goes to the citizens, isn't it? I would stress out it because it's always the same. The information, it is not delivered. That's what the people are saying, isn't it? If it's not in a letterbox or, I don't know, directly sent via SMS, it's not delivered, isn't it? You're welcome to continue.
I just read one article where the title of the article was that if people have a high trust to local governments, we should we should have a situation where the local governments start to trust their people. And the problem is that I think we perceive this participation as something artificial, as some additional function to the local government, but it's not integrated in the everyday life. And ideally, it would be that people don't think of oh, how many times did I participate during the last year, but actually that they feel as being part of the process, that they are not artificially engaged, but they are actually a natural element throughout the process of any political decision.
Do we have a good example anywhere?
Well, there have been several tries also on municipal level. I mean, Cēsis is a very good example. They have tried a lot of elements. Probably not all of them were very successful. Or in Sigulda, there was huge process, 2 years long of the local planning, where the quite many tries to engage very actively citizens, and through the end of the process, citizens felt actually quite protective to the ideas of the local government, while at the beginning they were very skeptical. So it proves that actually the engagement helps also to better explain the decisions of the local municipality and to get the people on our side and not to stay in two separate parts.
Yes, thank you, Liga. Would you join us for? Okay, Atis will be the next, because as you have been promoted, there is a microphone on that. Ati, you're welcome. How it's done in Cēsis?
So one great
the most engaged citizens in the Latvia.
No. We are actually in first stage, I think, speaking about this one. But we have one good example, and the example is citizens' engagement, speaking about Gauja River side and territory plan over the green territories. So. And what we did, we opened pop-up office for citizens on the main street in Cēsis, and 1 week-long pop-up office. This was the tool how we involved and how to speak with citizens. And people are crossing the street, and then what's interesting inside, and then they are going in and see some kind of discussions are happening and so on. So what we recognize that we should change methods how we speak with the citizens. So one of the speakers said already that today, and this is very, very important. And I think that municipalities, we don't have knowledge how to do it. We don't have knowledge about social innovations. We don't have skills. We are organizing brainstorming with citizens, but we are not speaking what's happening in the next day when we should implement those ideas. So this is also very, very important. Yeah.
Then you're going to use the lean method. And everything is written is actually in the ideas room, and everyone could come in and we'll take in on how it's going on. So Mara, would you join us in commenting on how to involve or how it looks like involved and engaged? Yeah, it works. It works. It works.
Okay. One of the most important things is to find which people in society don't feel like they have the ability to affect change, who feel that whatever they do doesn't make a difference anyway, and then think about how to address those people. One good program is the LEADER program in Latvia, and Latvijas Lauku Forums work with people in different smaller areas, getting people for discussions. And I think the most important thing is kind of to listen, not to use a lot of fancy new innovation things and flip charts and papers, but to talk to people and to listen. And once you get to that, if you find what could be changed, and then also give the feedback to people that something has changed, that would probably change something. I just want to mention that one important thing in the new Latvian development plan is we have one of the 18 areas of direction working on psychological and emotional well-being for people, because a lot of people come from situations where they have been told how to be when they're children. Maybe there's been domestic violence, other reasons, poverty, other reasons why people feel they cannot change their environment. So it's important to address those issues, and then you get to a lot of people.
I would pass the microphone to Ingo and asking, do you have any specific plans within a European Union level talking about a post-2020 period, about involvement of citizens and engagement?
I think this is one of the big themes for current Commission among Green Deal and all others. Europe's closer to citizen, and there is a lot of plans in many Commission services working more on this topic and somehow to look ways how we from Commission side improve our communication or engagement, because that's crucial, that otherwise it's kind of devaluates what we are doing, and if people don't feel that what is done, it's in their interest and it's for them or with them.
Yeah, but how to do this? Because otherwise it sounds like, I don't know, a poster. It should be good. It is.
In case of regional policy, of course we work in the shared management mode. From our side, what we put this issue on agenda, and when our colleagues will negotiate specific programs with member states, this issue will be asked how. And also, we feel that the current legislation proposal for next cohesion policy programming cycle allows also to build in financial assistance for these kind of things, because there is more variety of financial means for capacity building, and capacity building not only, let's say, funding salaries for running the structural funds implementation, but also building capacity of beneficiaries or municipalities, or doing more citizen engagement. We think that if there is a will, there is a possibility to put aside financial means for Torates, but of course
it sounds like that you approve that there will be some finances allocated specifically for engagement, isn't it?
That is decision of member states when they are planning their program. We are advising that, and we are suggesting that there are possibilities in new financial regulation how to do that, but of course country priorities, it's up to the countries where they are putting.
Yeah, but in some extent it leads to us to the next question, because the communication with the society or the general public is always not the thing that I don't know, the public institutions are happy to spend the money. Because it's not. The communication is the last position within everything. There is a hard topics and the issues and technologies and tools and everything else, and there is some communication part within that. That's the last line, isn't it? But probably there is a cost that we're gonna pay when we are not communicating. I don't know, probably League has account for that. There's one thing that we need to spend the money for engaging the people, but there is some costs that we already pay when people are not engaged.
Well, democracy costs, definitely. And the question is how much. Of course, even with the participatory budgeting, I mean, it costs a lot of money for local municipalities to implement it. That's probably one of the reasons why Latvian municipalities are not so active in doing this so far, because we just recently, 1 month ago, we met with the representatives from Gulbene who just decided to do that. And then we sat around the table, and I explained that you have to talk to the people to explain the method, otherwise it will not work. And then they understood, oh, we need extra money for that, you know. And of course it costs, and it costs if you want to invent some new methods, but there are plenty of activities you can do with not that much money. I mean, you just have to go outside your municipality building and to talk to people, and not be scared to drive some 5 kilometers further or to the border of your municipality, and just organize some regular consultations, and people will be really surprised. And I mean, with this territorial reform we are having now, we see that actually if the municipality is really interested to get people out of their houses, they can manage to do it quite easily. And I don't think that each of the activities costs a lot of money, but it's definitely, there is some kind of costs we have to dedicate for that. And there are several municipalities in Europe who actually have specialists who are working in municipality just dealing with public engagement issues. In Latvian municipalities, we have youth mentors or something like that. I know in Helsinki, for example, there are at least eight staff members who are working just with participatory budgeting and some other public engagement activities. So it really costs money, and we have to be ready to pay for that.
Actually, yeah, you're welcome, Ines.
I wanted to join what the previous speaker said. I think this issue of skills is very important because we often don't know how to do it in these new ways.
Skills also cost.
It costs,
Also
but it's important to work on skills. And if we think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we have classes on citizen engagement for the central civil service. So in our new OGP plan, we actually have foreseen workshops on citizen engagement at our national administration school, at least one, but it will depend from resources because it does cost to raise these skills and also then to engage citizens. Because in my own experience, one is to draft some legal proposal in the old way. You just draft it and send it around to usual suspects. They provide you opinions, you include, and then you submit it to the cabinet. But if you want to do it in the new way, it's like at least 6-9 months to develop the document, and I think Mara understands so well this issue. They just went through the National Development Plan development in, I think, very good way, engaging citizens. But it's long, costly, but again and again, you can do it. It's important. Actually, it's probably important to go slower. We always want to rush and have more and more. I think we need to spend time to have good documents that reflect the needs of citizens, but we need to raise skills. And so to finish, I want to say that one way how we do it at the State Chancellery is that with the help of the European Commission, we have launched the first public sector innovation laboratory in Latvia last year. And we have realized that the public sector innovation is about citizen-focused thinking in public sector, and it's a lot about engagement because these methods that we learn, the innovative methods, they are all about engaging citizen, putting yourself in citizen shoes. And so we have worked on such topics as administrative burden, and now the most recent work of this lab is on actually the hot topic of salaries in the health sector. We work with the Minister of Health and health representatives, and I think it was shock now from my colleagues that when they all got together, they said, we'll not now draft quickly the list of salaries, but we'll work together with the doctors and with other users of the system. And so that's the citizen engagement example that, that I wanted to bring to you.
Yeah, Mara, you're welcome.
Just 2 euro cents.
Yeah.
About what's in the National Development Plan for citizens so they can be able to participate. So one thing is in the situation of the education sector. We're going to be coming into using competencies-based education. So that will help children with critical thinking skills on how to argue, for example. Another important thing would be maybe if the debates traditions would be involved in Latvia. But what we put in the National Development Plan is alternative forms of when there is disagreements on things. So we're going to be talking about mediation as a way. So rather than saying, I don't like what you say, I disagree, let's go to court, we're going to be asking people to learn how to talk to each other. And another thing is with a cohesion, when we talk about different groups, we're going to have cohesion politics by the Ministry of Culture. So when you feel that there is like stress between different groups, give them the space in which they can talk. So those small incremental changes might help change attitudes of those people who would want to be really angry and different and radical. We don't want to radicalize the country.
Actually, I would like you to step in the shoes of the citizen, actually. Maybe you have some, the best experience ever that you had in your life when you were engaged with a very local issue. When was the last time and what was the method, how it was used? And actually, for me, it was, I don't know, some 4 years ago, but in Rail Baltic. I was the one, but against everyone else who said in that local territory that Rail Baltic is not a good project and so on and so on. What's about you? how you would like to be engaged. How much time would you like to spend of building a better society? Can we afford that? No, it's very
Well, I
pragmatic
will
question.
mention one very easy example. Actually, it was like 2 months ago. I was just walking in a seaside. I just collected rubbish after, I found, I actually finished with a full bag of rubbish, and I think it's a way how we should actually look at that. We don't have to think that it's very complicated, and we have to be there, I don't know, to have some education, how to engage or how to participate. There are plenty of examples that you can do besides the other things you do, and you actually don't recognize, oh, I just did something good.
Okay, Ate?
We have a special application, mobile application the idea is
You notice the things that's gone wrong?
Yeah, yeah, like you see, what can you see on the street? Something is bad on the street, and then you can take a photo and just send to municipality. And I'm using this mobile application, not using my position and then going that way, but as a citizen, I'm participating using this application. That's quite popular. People use that, and then a lot of things we can easily and very fast to correct.
Okay, Inta, I would like to involve you as well, while you are from the procurement monitoring office, but I would like you to answer as well the same questions.
The first one or both?
You're going to start with which one you'd like.
I can start with the second one. I don't think I personally would like to take part as a person. Maybe that's why I work for public administration. But as regards the first question, I'd like to say some comments. I think it will be quite difficult to find the local governments which would like to take part in this project. It will not be very easy. Maybe I'm not right, but I think it will be much more complicated to find appropriate monitor, this NGO. And what does it mean? What we understand with an appropriate monitor, this organization should understand public procurement, at least in general terms, because they have to observe their confidentiality rules, also understand evaluation process, and yes, on one hand, the process has to be transparent, but on the other hand, they have to observe confidentiality rules and understand that the information about the evaluation process shouldn't be disclosed to the society at a specific moment. So we have to cooperate with them to teach them how to do this process, actually. And we haven't found any guidelines now on the internet. Maybe we are wrong. We have to cooperate with Delna regarding this issue. It's not very easy in our view. So.
Okay. Who would continue about the best practices and that you've experienced within your personal life? Probably, I don't know, Ingo, when you were involved last time. And how was it?
I should say that I like very much these neighborhood initiatives which are happening in Riga. I think it's great start. It needs probably somehow to continue. I don't know how people are doing and how they are deciding. Probably at this moment people are doing everything voluntarily without pay and anything. But I think this is very good start, and if someone put a little bit maybe funding or somehow support it, it could be great opportunity, and I would love to involve also regarding, let's say, fixing neighborhoods where I live in Riga. But I had also bit my doubts how certain things was run regarding this, for example, for this budgetary participation for Riga, because there was possibility to vote for the project, but there was no possibility to upvote. Because, for example, I didn't like the project, which I support investment in that area, but I didn't like the design of the project. So I couldn't express my opinion. So it was not fully, probably, in my opinion, thought through. So I somehow thought, okay, I would vote, But just voting for the sake of getting money and build something which I don't like, so I abstained. That was my participation.
Mara, Inessa, would you continue with the experiences, or just we're going to stop and move forward?
Well, I can say I work so much that I have no time for anything else. I think that I lived many years in France, and I think it's very important in the culture there that I learned and took back to Latvia is this associative work, to be part of associations. And I'm by now part of 3 associations in Latvia, and one is Parent Association, the school of my daughter, where we regularly get together and move on with the school. I'm part of association of the house where I live, and I'm part of Dalna. So I think that's actually a kind of long-standing involvement in certain areas that you care for or that impact your daily family life. But I have different ideas that I hope one day I'll have time for, different things that I've wrong in Riga. That I always promise people around me that I will write letters and make initiatives to gather signatures for solving. So next time I'll report to you about that.
Why next time? It's the right platform here and today to share it. But okay, Mara, welcome.
I'm for really simple solutions. So one thing, in my neighborhood, my neighbors, we didn't talk to each other. There was a murder in our neighborhood, and none of our neighbors talked about it with each other. And then there was 2 cars out in front of the houses for about a year and a half. And that was the reason for us to start talking with each other. So what are we going to do? And nobody wanted to move, so I just wrote the letter to the police. The first, 6 months later, I wrote the second letter, the second letter. And you know what? After the police finally took care of it, after a year and a half, they actually wrote to us and, well, to me, because I wrote the emails for everybody. And so we were already a group. And then they explained to us what had happened and why they're taking the cars away. And nothing changed. We were not organized officially. They were not doing anything because somebody gave them money for it. And it all happened just because it just happened.
Actually, in some extent, I'm very happy that I asked the question, because let it put on a scale. Because you would like to talk about all those small things that touches today issues. They're collecting the rubbish and just alerting if something is done wrong, or just local community. But then on the other end, there is a European Union Cohesion Policy funds. And the question is, if we are so enthusiastic on just touching the everyday issues, how to engage the people in Latvia when it regards the funds, the big infrastructure projects, I don't know, the road infrastructure or anything else that has been built, how to involve them in those projects, to be very active on taking just care of it and looking with a fresh eye on that. So
I have one small example. We have under how we call it, design project for new school. And what we ask in this procurement, that architect should go to the school at least 2 times and present the result for children and also teachers, because they are the end users, and their opinion is very, very crucial in this stage. This is how we try to engage citizens in that kind of infrastructure projects.
Okay. Anything else that comes into mind for any other from you? Inguna? Yep.
Just maybe not as a commission official, but I'm very fond of open data, and I think that we are not using its full capacity. And I've also thinking that in Latvia there is such a great opportunity, because there are a lot of data. It's just that they are not so much usable, because okay, not everyone's grandmother will look through Excel files, I think, but at the same time, these data can be easily translated in accessible way and provide people with possibility to see them and then to provide feedback through mobile apps or something. The possibilities are huge.
Would you give me an example?
On the okay, I can give totally different example from not cohesion policy.
Yeah, but when I
just
heard everything about open data, I start to think, what kind of open data?
Yes, I will give example what I myself was amazed. You know, coronavirus outbreak.
Okay.
And in citizens, average IT people have developed platforms in South Korea where you can see on the map where the sick person has been in your neighborhood, how many hours ago, and where you need to avoid going in order to get sick. And then you have, on parallel, you get also a mobile app who rings you when you are coming closer to the area where person has been. It's great because it improves, and it really goes with data which is collected by officials and putting in accessible that everyone knows, not that some health official just knows this information but doesn't share it.
Okay, Altis, yeah, I would continue.
Yes, in the beginning I said that we don't have skills, but I think that public institutions also are afraid. We are afraid from procurement office, we are afraid from state control, we are afraid from citizens actually, and so on. And speaking about open data, we just opened the first data things. And we also opened last year budget. And the first when we started to speak with colleagues that we will open data and we will be open municipality, then everyone said, yes, that's a great idea. When we started to open, then it was oh, really? Really we will open a budget? Because we are afraid that someone could check some things that we don't know. Yeah, and but we will go in the next stage. We just opened the first data, but we will organize hackathon for citizens and other professionals, and in the beginning of the spring, where this will be open data hackathon, where we will give our data, they will analyze and give for us some kind of solutions. For example, how to provide tourism or how we can be more efficient and so on. Yeah.
Okay. I would like to pass the questions from the audience as well. What do you think are the biggest obstacles for a more meaningful citizen participation? Do you see what stands for? Yeah, Ines, welcome.
Maybe one thought is, and it was mentioned earlier.
Thank you, Ivan, for a question. Yeah.
It's about the current situation in the participation regulation and how we organize. It's based on organizations. For example, for the cabinet documents and projects, we most often reach out to organizations, DALNA or Municipalities Association. But as rightly the speakers mentioned today, well, it needs to change. We need to reach out to individuals. And I think we would have a big problem to do that at the government level. For example, for such, I mean, apart some like opinion pools or, I don't know, like the development plan, probably you had some technique how to, at some stages, get some use from individual citizens. But on a regular basis, for a like legal act on, I don't know, taxes or health, I don't think citizens are approached in a way, in some meaningful ways. So I think that's the future, and I think digital age is very good for inventing tools how you can map the opinions of citizens on some issues like, I don't know, Rail Baltica or some really big national-wide reforms. But I would be curious to see such tool. I would be happy to use it as a government official, but we don't have it yet.
Anything else, Mara? Yep.
I think coming to a consensus is an art, and it's kind of boring because you actually have, everybody has to step away from what they believe in to come to an agreement. And you step away in the group that has been making the decision. And I think one of the interesting things is life is giving us, with this digital age, so much information to process that people are interested often in processing things that are very highly charging their adrenaline levels. So I think that we have to really think about how we avoid radicalization, and how when people really want to make a meaning in life, then they need that extra kind of push, and how we deal with this. Because there was a memorandum of understanding meeting 2 days ago at the cabinet, and there were some radical people who came in, and they wanted to be physically aggressive too. And it's a shame, because they didn't understand the rules of the game in that meeting. But again, that meeting also has its, could have been done in a different way, so.
But anyway, for me it sounds strange. Sounds very strange. If I would participate in hackathon, for example, I've never participated in hackathon. It sounds like an Angry Birds championship, and I would never go there. Change the name. It's just for me. I'm at my 50s. Sorry, I would switch back to the procurement. No, Liga, yes, welcome.
I just wanted to explain that it's not that everybody now has to go to the hackathon. And obviously...
I would love to, because it sounds like that it somehow touches the issues I would like or be interested in,
yeah.
But not to the hackathon. I don't know.
And also for the government or regional or local institutions, you have to engage citizens if you are ready to hear them. I mean, if you are ready to have to hear their voice, and if you are ready to show how the involvement will change my decision as a state official, or otherwise, if you engage with no plan what to do afterwards, it's useless. I mean, that's to show the impact of the engagement is one of the first preconditions.
Regarding the engagement, but turning back to the procurement, the question in Latvian sent within the first session, I would like to Inta to answer. Bija tāds jautājums. Pasūtītāji, piemēram, pirms tādu lielu iepirkumu veikšanas, labprāt arī nosūtīt iepirkuma nolikumu, izskatīt arī uz iepirkuma uzraudzības bīroju vai uz CFLA, kur laikam pārstāvis, nezinu, ir šeit klāt vai ir aizgājuši. Vai šādos gadījumos iestādes varētu veikt kaut kādu pirmpārbaudu, tāds pirms auditiņš. Un iespējams, ka šī varbūt ir kaut kādā veidā laba ideja attiecībā uz to, lai neiebrauktu auzās. Nē, es nezinu, jūs uzreiz kaut kā baigi saskatījāties. Nā, kolēģi saka, nē. Inta, lūdzu.
Latviski, angliski? Latviski, jā. Pirmkārt, mēs pārbaudām ļoti daudz iepirkuma nolikumus. Jautājums bija tieši pirms izsludināšanas.
Tieši tā, pirms iepirkuma veikšanas.
Negribu gari plaši stāstīt, bet īsumā tā mēs šobrīd pārbaudām fondu iepirkumus jau, kad viņi ir izsludināti. Apmēram 100 šādus nolikumus gadā, 100 iepirkumus gadā. Pirms pāris gadiem bija mēģinājums pārbaudīt projektu fāzē, lai it kā atvieglotu pasūtītājus, bet mēs tomēr saņēmām ļoti nekvalitatīvus projektus, teiksim, godīgi melnrakstus, pilnīgus melnrakstus, jo pasūtītāji nepaspēja uz to brīdi vēl sagatavot nolikumu. Mums nācās nodarboties ar elementāriem labojumiem, un tad konsultējoties ar Finanšu ministriju vadošo iestādi, mēs nonācām atpakaļ pie pārbaudēm jau pēc izsludināšanas. Tas, protams, drusciņi paildzina termiņu, bet no otras puses, tad, kad mēs skatījāmies, kā projektu pārbaudas, tas vienalga bija diezgan ilgi, jo tad, kad iepirkums tika izsludināts, vienalga mēs konstatējām daudz neatbilstības ar iepriekš jau it kā izskatīto un bija dubultais darbs. Vienmēr sakot, tas bija neefektīvi.
Es papildināšu, mums kā reiz viens iepirkums ir šādā pārbaudē iekritis, un mēs esam tik laimīgi. Tiešām rīktīgi, forši es teicu Dieva laime, jo tas mums iespējams ļaus uzlabot savus procesus un konstatēt, kur mēs iespējams tādā būvniecības vienā iepirkumā kļūdamies un izķert nākotnē tās problēmas.
Kā nebaidieties no mums.
Jā. Vēl 2 jautājumi latviski. Vai integritātes pakta ieviešana iepirkuma procesā ir ceļš uz publisko iepirkuma procedūru vienkāršošanu? Tas par, tā teikt, lielo konceptu rāmi. Un otrs, kas arī ļoti interesants, vai Eiropas komisija nesaskaņos kohēzijas politikas fonda darbības programmu līdz 27. gadam, ja tajā netiks paredzēts finansiāls atbalsts pilsoniskajai sabiedrībai. Tā teikt, kā mēs to spēles noteikumiem raugāmies, tā teikt, uz nākamajiem 7 gadiem, ja reiz mēs runājam šobrīd par to, kādā veidā mēs organizējam pasauli. Inga, un man liekas, ka tas ir jūsu dārzaņā iesparts.
Tā, tas pirmais bija par to, vai...
Vai tas integritātes pakta ieviešana iepirkuma procesā ir ceļš uz to, ka tas iepirkums varētu būt procedūra vienkāršāka?
Es nedomāju, ka tieši procedūra varētu būt vienkāršāka, jo procedūra jau nosaka likumdošanu un Latvijas normatīvie akti. kura es domāju, ka arī tā mūsu ideja bija tāda, ka šis integritātes pakts, teiksim, var norādīt uz kaut kādām lietām, kas nefunkcionē procesā tā, kā viņām vajadzētu, vai arī ir neefektīvas. Un tad, tiecīgi, teiksim, bija cerība tāda, ja, teiksim, Rīgas satiksmē saskatīs tās kļūdas, tad, teiksim, tos kļūdas varētu, teiksim, skatīties, kā viņas izlabot arī citās vietās. Un es zinu, ka arī dažos no mūsu pilotprojektiem dažās valstīs noteiktas lietas, kas tika procesā identificētas, ka tur, teiksim, nepublicē vai tur nesaskaņo vai ar kam tur ko norāda, kas ir it kā procesuālie sīkumi, bet kuriem ir sava veida ietekme uz to, cik labi process un gludi process virzās. Un šādas, teiksim, varbūt kļūdiņas vai kaut kādas ne īsti labās prakses izķerot, varētu cerēt, ka kopumā var tikt panākti lielāki, teiksim, uzlabojumi, sistēmiski uzlabojumi. Tāda bija tā doma, un tāda viņa arī joprojām ir, un es domāju, ka, teiksim, integrācijas paktam kā tāda mehānisma, viņam ir tas potenciāls to panākt, ja viņi tā labi ievieš. Vai viņam būtu jābūt oficiāli, teiksim, arī programmā minētam? Es zinu, ka tur bija arī jautājumi par likumdošanu, ko mums vienmēr prasa. Es domāju, ka viņam nav jābūt teiksim, nofiksētam kā obligātam. Pilnīgi ir valsts, kurām ir, teiksim, iepirkuma likumā Itālijai minēts, ka ja tiek paredzēts un izlemts veikt integritātes paktu, tad viņš paliek obligāts tai procedūrai vai tam projektam. Un tas ir tas brīvais, teiksim, likuma formulējums. Nu, es domāju, Latvijas gadījumā likumā viņš nav, bet ļoti labi paredzot viņu attiecīgajā līgumā starp CFLA un saņēmēju, viņš palika obligāts konkrētajam saņēmējam, kas, manuprāt, ir ļoti labs juridiskais risinājums.
Paldies, un vēl daži jautājumi, tas attiecas uz tādu ieteikums novērtēšanu. How can we measure the impacts, economic and social, of citizen engagement initiatives, especially when government funds are invested on these? Is there any approach in doing that? How to measure the impacts that has been done? Yep.
I don't have full answer, just...
You're going to switch it on, yeah. Yep.
I will not fully answer your question, but there is one tool that we need to work on more, which is ex-post evaluation, this technocratic term, which means that for any policy law that we develop in the government, we need to do an evaluation before. What would be the impact? It's called ex-ante impact assessment. We do it always, and you can see with all the laws, it's an accompanying document, but we don't have systematically this ex-post evaluation. So after the law or policy, because for policies we have a separate regulation, but for laws we don't have it. But we do it in practice for important legislation. We have many examples. But in the state chancery, we need to make it systematic, and so in next years, I think there will be some changes, and there will be this methodology for ex-post evaluation introduced in Latvia.
And as well as the question regarding the procurements, who can monitor municipal procurements to be implemented with the cohesion fund, policy funds? And do you know what the resources are needed for that, and how can the funds could be raised for this purpose specifically? That's also the question.
I'm not sure that it's exactly for me, but I think we don't need to think about only in the terms of integrity pacts or something. There are different ways how. And also from the lessons learned, we have already certain ideas floating around about slightly different tools with the same concept. For example, there could be procurement monitoring for a particular sector or particular beneficiaries, but not in a type like integrity pact monitoring, hands-on reading documents, but more, let's say, observing, let's say, indicators or the procurement data and looking for red flags. It's slightly different type of monitoring, but I think it still would be quite useful one. And I know that there are certain new initiatives where people are trying. In Portugal, we are discussing where our contracting authority very much interested to continue this type of monitoring for their particular sector, because in order to see which procurement procedures are showing some signs that they are somehow something could be wrong that needs to be paid attention. I think there are different ways probably mixing these tools and therefore not focusing only one, but yes, I think municipalities could benefit from this kind of thing.
As I've been working for a television, I'm quite strict on time. You know, it's 2 minutes left, it looks like. If you would like to have some final remarks from discussion panelists' side, so welcome to have your say. Yeah, Ati, welcome.
Well, yeah, I'm just thinking to develop city, how we look to thesis. We need 3 big bubbles. One bubble is hardware, it's infrastructure. The second bubble is software, it's fashion, it's nightlife, culture, education, and now healthcare, and so on. And the last bubble is orgware, which means transparency, open data, citizens' engagement, and so on. So, and I'm afraid that a lot of municipalities in Latvia, they see only the first bubble, it's infrastructure, but they forget about the last bubble, very, very important, this orgware bubble, that we should be open governance and so on. So this is a mindset I hope we will change the next couple of years regarding this reform idea. But this is very crucial to speak loudly about, that we can build a mega road to some place, but people are not moving there because at the end there is, I don't know, bad governance.
Anyone else who would like to join for the final remarks? If it's not, then I would like to give probably a word in the stage to Liena. You can freely stay for a while. Maybe you can have some final remarks for not only the panelists but audience at all, because actually we spent a day within the 2 sessions, and there are some findings that you are looking forward as quite a bright and good things from the conference. Liena, you're welcome.
First, I would like First, I'd like to thank for the presentations and for the discussions. Before we finish, I would like to ask to remember some of the ideas that were expressed today. And unfortunately, we had the big NGO parallel event today, so that's why not so many NGO people were able to come be present here today. But thanks also to all those who were watching us on live. We talked a lot today about integrity pacts, of course, and how to use them for monitoring EU funds, but not only EU funds, also the national, the procurement that are funded from the national budget. And we heard from European Commission, from Ingun Kramiņa, that IPs are recognized as a good practice. They are here to stay, and they should be used. We also, and the good news are that, that we heard from the State Chancellery, that in our new Open Government Partnership Plan for 2020 and 2021, we have integrity pacts. We need to think how to raise awareness about those, this tool in municipalities, and how we can fund citizen engagement in monitoring in Latvia. Can State Chancellery perhaps create a special fund for that? That's another question. We heard that we can link IPs with open data initiatives and with such multi-stakeholder initiatives as infrastructure, transparency initiative cost. And we were discussing how to raise awareness that integrity pacts are not to stop something, but to make it work. And we already have several aims in the government action plan regarding citizen engagement, such as participatory budgeting aspects, open data aspects. We heard also about initiatives from European Commission that will allow public institutions and also non-governmental institutions to apply for some funding. There are possibilities in the next cohesion policy to allocate funding for citizens on a national level. Question, will this be a priority for Latvia? Several speakers pointed out we need to change the mindset, actually, for from doing for citizens to engaging citizens and talking to those citizens that are perhaps not the most active in municipalities. We see that people want to participate in direct way, and then the question is, can officials, can municipalities listen and talk to those citizens? Some municipalities, as we heard, are already trying new tools, good tools. We heard about Gulbene municipality that has allocated 110,000 euros for participatory budgeting in their municipality. I have to say that Dauna will also pilot a project this year with participatory budgeting in schools. This is an initiative that our colleagues in Lithuania have been doing for 2 years or so. And let's see if schools will be ready to allocate 1,000 euros for the students to spend. And maybe this can also inspire municipalities and can help to build trust in a longer term in our society, so that Latvia will not be mentioned in those statistical reports anymore that we heard today. Yes. Okay. Just one more thing, that I think we all concluded that citizen engagement is a good thing and important thing if we want to build trust and if you want to build a prosperous society and a country here in Latvia. Our job today is to go back to our duties, I mean on Monday, and really look at how we can make this happen and pass the message, and let's think also about how we can show the results to society, the results from their engagement. And finally, thank you very much again to all the participants for your presentations and discussions, and also for your questions and the interest in this event. And big thank you also to the excellent moderator and our interpreters that made us comfortable with switching from Latvian to English, and vice versa. And of course, I want to say thanks to the team at Dauna that made this conference happen. And we have some final snacks and drinks outside, so we can continue the networking and discussions, maybe something that we can work on already this year, and maybe we can make some good things happen in the next months. Thank you again, and goodbye.